Okay, welcome back. So for electronics class, we're going to be in lab 6, which is page 20 and 21. Remember, we're using the Etron Circuit Labs, the Basics V3 Intro to Electronics, and it can be purchased at etronsircuit.com. Again, that is etronsircuit.com. Okay, let's jump right into it. We're going to be at lab 6, so turn right over to page 20 and 21 in our book, and we'll jump right into what we're learning about today. So this is an introduction to potentiometers. You say, what is a potentiometer? Well, it functions just like a resistor. We've learned about resistors the whole time. Pull that LED down. There's a resistor. Remember, a resistor provides resistance so the current flow is not too big and it burns everything up, okay? So it's important for resistance. All right, so we're going to be looking at a potentiometer. In your parts box, pull out your potentiometer. Looks like this right here, just like in the picture. Has numbers and it has these. The first thing we're going to do in this lab is we're going to put our wires on. You can see I've already done that, and I'm going to show you how to do this right now. So I'm going to get my little wire. So pull out a wire, one of your blue wires, out of your parts box. I'm going to try to do this the best I can on this video. I can get it up here. Okay, so hopefully I'll be able to. I cannot see that. Okay. I cannot do this. Put it here. Alright. So let's try. So at the end of your wire, you're going to take, if you have a pliers, it may be a little bit easier, but I just use my nail and I find my halfway point and I go a little bit past my halfway point, because what I need is I need metal to touch metal. I don't need this metal to touch my blue wire. So I'm going to come past, find my halfway point and come a little bit past it, and then I'm going to bend. I'm going to come this way past it. So I'm going to bend it about right here. So there's my halfway point. I'm going to bend it up towards my finger a little bit more. So I'm just going to take my fingernail and poke it in there. Look what happened. See how it twisted it? Or not twisted it, but bent it. Okay. So now I need to find out is if I look at this, if this is going to touch the bottom of this. So I'm going to pull it away from the phone for just a second. You work on yours. And I'm going to see, before I put it on my potentiometer, is it going to work? If I keep bending this backwards, is this going to be enough to go on? And will it still touch metal to metal? So I have it like this so far. See if I can see that right there. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here, and you're going to be wiring yours in pin 1. So let me go over how to show you how to do pin 1. You're going to take your potentiometer, which I have in my hand right here. And do you see these letters on the bottom? There's letters and numbers. This needs to be facing down when we're talking about pins. Okay? So you have a pin 1, a pin 2, and a pin 3. But you cannot find those properly if you don't make sure that your numbers are at the bottom. Okay? So when your numbers are at the bottom, then pin 1 is on your right side, pin 3 is on your left side, and you can see that in the book right there. Pin 3 is on your left, and then your middle number is pin 2, okay? Now, we're only going to be doing pin 1 and pin 2 today, so don't wire them all. But for the video purposes, I'm going to go ahead and put mine in that third one just so that you can see that I'm doing that. So at this time, go ahead and bend your wire. Get this lead wire back over here, and I'll set it over here where it's not so busy. Bend your wire like this, and then take your potentiometer and put it into it, just like. And it's not hard, but when you look through the phone, it makes it hard. Like this right here. So you're just going to take your bent wire and slide it in that hole. Now, once you have it in that hole, I'm simply going to take my fingers and I'm going to push it down so that it will make contact with the, there we go, see how it's there? So now if I just push that, I can use a pliers or I can use my finger, and I can just push that, but it needs to be metal touching metal. So let me finish this and then I'll come back and show it to you, okay? I'll try to do it on the video, but being able to see in videos. So let's see. Okay, so I'll just keep pushing my wire until it touches. So can you see that? Back a little bit. See how I just pushed it? And do I have metal touching metal? Yes, I do. Now it's really close to the blue, but it's still metal touching metal. And that's going to provide contact. Do you see how that is on there? Okay, but for this particular experiment, I'm going to turn around and take this right back off because we only need pin 1 and pin 2. So at this time, pause the video. If you do not have pin 1 and pin 2 with the wire, and go ahead and get it where you do have that, and then unpause the video and come right back, okay? Because we only need pin 1 and pin 2. And remember how I told you to do that is you flip your potentiometer where the numbers are facing down towards the floor. And then on the right side is pin 1. So you're going to fill this one with a metal wire. Just one of these metal wires that are in your box, okay? You're going to fill pin 1 and pin 2. And then unpause the video and come back, okay? All right. Okay, so now that your potentiometer looks like this, you have it in pin 1 and pin 2, and you have your 2 wires coming out. We are ready. I'm going to give you just a little bit of information on this introduction to potentiometers, and then we'll jump right into building our lab, okay? You can find potentiometers in several different places. So potentiometer looks like this. But a lot of times when we're building something to sell a product, we make it look fancy and we put plastic parts over the top of it or whatever we may need. So with that being said, when you get in your vehicle next time or your parents' vehicle next time, look at the volume button on your radio. And inside of that, if you can visualize a piece of plastic over the top of this to make it look pretty, I wish I'd bought a plastic lid or something and you could have seen it. I can fancy this up and make it look pretty, and that's exactly what they do. They put a knob over it. So whenever you turn your radio on, maybe it clicks and then you turn it on. That could be a potentiometer, as well as the volume button a lot of times is a potentiometer, unless you have a digital one. And then also, back in the old days, if you were back in the days of stereos, or maybe you have a home stereo as like a replica of what the old days were, those also have potentiometers on them as volume switches or sometimes tone. In order to get the tone just right, they would have a potentiometer on them as well. A potentiometer functions similar to a resistor, okay? We'll learn about that more in just a few minutes. At the bottom of your potentiometer, you're going to see the numbers and letters B100K, B100K. And it means that if you take this potentiometer and you turn it where the numbers are now facing the ceiling or facing the top. So I'm going to say this is my working deck and this is my bottom of my lid. Okay. If you take this where your numbers are facing the top, like you can say facing the ceiling or facing the top of your working area, and you turn that all the way up, you're going to have 100K ohm. If you turn it all the way to the right, so it's going to be at its highest resistance at the right. So basically, like, I would want to think it's like it's off, but it's not off. It's at its highest resistance. Okay, so if we turn that like that, we're at our highest resistance. And then if we turn it counterclockwise to the left, we're going to lose resistance. We're going to have less resistance. Okay. We use a resistor to keep too much current from flowing, from burning out the LED or whatever we're working with. Since the potentiometer can let as much as 100K ohms to the LED, we use a resistor to protect that LED. Okay? And you'll see that as we build the lab. All right, so at this time, you're going to need everything that's on page 20. So if you look on your page 20, which is everything I have right here. You're going to need a 220 ohm resistor, which is red, red, brown, gold. And like I always say, just pause the video. If you're looking your resistors, you're going to need red, red, brown, gold. So if you can't find that, just pause the video. I'm going to move on to the next one. You're going to need your potentiometer, which you should already have out, with the 2 wires coming off of pin 1 and pin 2. You're going to need an LED light. You're going to need, I should not have said light, I should just say LED, because you should know what that is. You're going to need your battery snap. Eventually you're going to need your battery, but do not connect those as of right now. And you're going to need your solderless circuit board. Okay. Also, one thing I wanted to tell you, that when we have a potentiometer and we're only using 2 of what they call these pins, you'll refer to other people call them lugs as well. If we're only using 2 of those pins, then we're wiring it to be used as like a resistor, and so it would be called a rheostat. When we only use 2 wires to make the potentiometer, it acts as a rheostat, which acts as a resistor. A rheostat is a resistor. Okay? All right, so let's get started in this lab. So our resistor 1 is going to go in 9I and 22I. So the very first thing is we're going to pull our resistor, which was red, red, brown, gold, and it's going to go in 9I, 9, and then I, 9I, and it's going to go in 22I. 22I. So find your I and then find your 22. Nine I and 22 I. And I apologize, but it is hard to work. And 22 I. There we go. It is hard to work with one hand. So I video with one hand and I'm working with the other hand. So if you can't see, that's why. But I'm doing exactly what you're doing, or you should be doing, with your first resistor, okay? 9I and 22I. All right. All right, so the next one, if you were writing down this, you would label it as R2, but it's going to be your potentiometer, okay? So you're going to grab your potentiometer, all right? And then it's going to go into 25A, and that's lug 1. Remember, I told you you'll hear it. Lug 1, 25A. I'm going to bring it back over here. Now, how do I know which one's 1? Well, if I look for my numbers, the little numbers on there, there's my numbers, then I know that this is called pin 1 in my book. So pin 1, or what they also refer as lug 1, 25A. So I just find 25A. Make sure you get a good contact. Remember, when we're building, we want to make sure it's clean and neat, and we're going to do it right the first time. So make sure it goes all the way down and you get good contact. All right, and then my lug 2, or my pin 2, will be in 9C. 9C. So we have 9C right there. All right, so now I have my second, what is acting as my second resistor, because remember, when we only use 2 lugs or 2 pins, then it becomes a rheostat, and a rheostat acts as a resistor. So on your schematics map, it may be listed R2, but you're actually using the potentiometer as a rheostat, which acts as a resistor. Okay. All right, and then your LED is going to be in 9E and 9F. What's special about our LED? What's that? What is special about that? I'm just holding up part of it. Let me show you that it is an LED. Well, if you said, oh, yes, an LED has polarity, you're right. Which one is my anoid? Which one is my cathode? If you said the long one, the positive, is your anoid, then you're correct. That would make the shorter one the cathode, correct? All right, so 9E will be my anoid. Remember, my anoid is the longest, so I'm going to look up here for 9, and then I'm going to go to E, and that's my 9E and 9F, so I just put that in wrong. 9E and 9F. Anoid and cathode, so it's going to be spanding. So 9E is here, and my 9F is here. And I need to make sure that I'm putting in my 9. Okay, so it's going across the channel, the current channel. All right, so 9E is my anoid, so we put the positive on that side, and then we put our cathode in 9F. All right, so now our battery snaps will be in 25E, and our positive, so which one is our positive for our battery snaps? If you said the red one, you are correct, so 25E. 25E is my positive. Make sure you get it in there good. And my negative is 22F. So I'm going to look for 22F. 22F. And that's my negative. 22F and 25E. All right. Now, do not add your battery yet, okay? I want to go over something with you before you add your battery. All right, so we have everything built. If you don't have it built up to this part, if I went too fast, just remember to pause the video. You have that luxury of pausing the video. Okay, now let me go over after you have all the wires, everything looking like I have it. You have your resistor in, you have your LED, you have your potentiometer with your 2 lead wires, you have your battery snaps, you have all that hooked. All right, you're going to take the potentiometer, which is this part right here, and you're going to place the potentiometer so the numbers and the letters are facing upward. All right, so do I have my potentiometer and do I have it facing upward? If I have it facing upward, meaning towards the ceiling, okay, see these letters and numbers right here? They need to be facing up towards the ceiling. Then I make sure that the knob is turned all the way to the right, and that would be going to the right, the way my finger keeps going, okay? So I'm going to show you right now. Here's my numbers. I'm going to make sure it goes all the way that direction. This going that way, across my phone. Starting over here. Maybe my phone will pick, and then I'm going this direction, okay? So I'm going to take my right hand and just make sure it's all the way that way. And this little knob right here spins, okay? All right, so I spin that, and it's all the way to the right. Okay, that's very important. So make sure the numbers are up, and it's all the way to the right, okay? Now, and this is our, what we call a potentiometer, but remember it's acting like a rheostat. Turn the knob to the right. By turning the knob in this direction, you're increasing the resistance in the potentiometer to its highest level. And what would that highest level be? It tells you at the top of it, 100K ohms. All right. Now we're ready to connect the battery. When we connect the battery snaps to the battery, the LED should be blank. So let's do that at this time. I'm going to pull out my battery. Got my battery, and I've got my battery snaps, and I'm going to connect my battery. Okay. But look, is anything happening? So I have so nothing's happening, so I'm going to go back, and I'm going to make sure all my wires are in, that they're touched in. I'm also going to double check to make sure I didn't fill in with this, I didn't put it in wrong. So let me make sure that my anoid and my cathode, 9E, 9E, and 9F, and that I pushed them down. I don't think this was connecting. Could be wrong, but okay, because it felt like it came more to the F side, so that might be my problem. I'm going to check my battery snaps one more time. better. And it's just a normal battery. And then tilt it towards the ceiling. Got it all the way to the side. I'm going to check my resistor. Make sure that my resistor is full contact. Feels good there. Feels good on that end. So what I may do is undo my battery real quick and then just switch out for a different LED. So I now have my different LED. I'm going to go back to 9E being my anoid side and my cathode being my 9F on that side. 9E and 9F. 9E and 9F. Okay. Alright, and then if it doesn't connect this time, watch my light for me. And it still doesn't connect, so what I'm... Oh, there it did. It did. Okay, it's on its lightest setting, so... Okay, did you see it come on, y'all? Alright, so I just switched out for a different LED, so that other LED is probably not any good. Okay? Alright, so, and you seen what I did what is known as troubleshooting, okay? And I went through and I checked everything. I checked my resistor, I checked my battery leads, I checked my LED, I checked everything. And I do try to keep a circuit as clean as I can as I go, okay? I will say that when you're working with potentiometers, do you see how that moves the whole circuit board? So it can weaken wires as you work with it. Okay, we learned about that. I believe it was in lesson 3 or 4, or lab 3 or 4 of this, that the more you work with a circuit board, you have chances of weakening things. So they always say add your battery snaps, add your potentiometer, add those things last, because the more you move it around, the more it can do. And when I jostle this like this, trying to get my battery on and off, that does it too. All right, so what I want you to know is that these numbers need to be facing the ceiling. As you rotate this counterclockwise, what happens to the light? I just keep moving it. Do we notice anything as I'm turning it? Let me go all the way back. There's all the way to the right, and I'm going counterclockwise. So I'm going in the left direction. What's happening to my light? Oh, look at that. That's really bright light. That's pretty bright. All right, for as small as it is. Okay, and then what happens is I decrease it back. Okay. All right, so pay attention to that. What's happening? As I'm going from the right, all the way to the right, I just work my way towards the left, which is counterclockwise. What happens? It gets brighter and brighter and brighter, right? All right. Less resistance is applied. Remember, this is acting as a rheostat. It's acting as a resistor. In this lab, we only have 2 leads used, 2 legs, or 2 pins, and it's acting as a resistor. So as I turn it back to the clockwise, it's adding more resistance, so there's less light. And as I turn it counterclockwise, it's adding more current. The less resistance and more current. Okay? I want to tell you a few things while you look at this and you play with your own circuit. See, I don't want to leave anything off. The resistor will keep the LED from burning out even though we turn the potentiometer all the way up. So if we didn't have this on here, it would burn the LED out. But because we add resistance, it will protect it. This simple circuit clearly demonstrates the effect resistance has on the LED. In this example, you'll also see how that someone who designs circuits could use a potentiometer to create a variable resistor that can fine-tune the flow of current within a circuit. So at this time on page 21, I would like for you to look at page 21 in figure A of your schematics map right there. It talks about potentiometer used as a voltage And I want to go over what a rheostat is. Right beside of it, it says used as a rheostat, and that's what we used our potentiometer as. So I'll go back to the potentiometer. Why is it not a potentiometer in this particular one? We did not use all 3 leads. We only used 2, which makes it like a rheostat, or it makes it as a rheostat, and then it provides resistance. Okay. All right, so a rheostat is an electrical instrument used to control a current by varying the resistance. And we only use 2 lugs, so it makes it a variable resistor. A potentiometer is an instrument for measuring an electromotive force by balancing it against the potential difference produced by passing a known current through a variable resistance. And it uses 3 lugs. A potentiometer can be found in different sizes, and the circuit designer would use what is appropriate for what they're building. Also, there's 2 more things you'll learn about, and it's known as what's called taper A and taper B. And taper A is used in audio. So like when you, anything that's audio like volume, you would use a taper A. And if you get into B, in these, it would be more like tone. So how it delivers resistance. And that is just where you get into your A and B tapers. Okay. Well, I hope you enjoyed this lesson. Please make sure if you're in electronics class, my electronics class, that you're reading page 20 and 21 in the basics V3 intro to electronics. Remember that you read page 20 and 21. There's lots of good information on there, and be prepared for your quiz. Thanks for watching. Be sure and subscribe so you'll get more videos. Thanks.